Okay, so now we're going to go into chapter 4. This chapter is called Extent Decisions. Once again, as I move on from each section, I will let you guys know as best as I can. So beginning with lesson 4.1, it's called Background, Average, and Marginal Costs. So this chapter involves seeing how to make profitable decisions by identifying the most important costs and benefits of these decisions. So average costs are total costs, both fixed and variable costs, divided by total units produced. Or in other words, taking all of the costs and averaging them. The formula for average costs is TC over Q. So that means taking all of the costs, where TC equals FC plus VC. So taking all of the fixed costs, all of the variable costs, adding them all together and averaging them by the quantity produced, then of course that gives you average costs. If you recall from chapter 3, as you make output decisions, the most important factors to consider are the variable costs within this equation. So when you own a cookie business, the main costs you consider are the cost of the ingredients, the sugar, the flour, the eggs, etc., also the employees. This is because as you make more cookies, you're going to need more flour, sugar, and eggs and things like that, and even more labor in order to get things done. That being said, this implies that when making important decisions, you shouldn't start off by looking at the costs, because some costs, such as average costs, look at all of the costs all together, when the only ones that should be taken into consideration are the variable costs. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a problem when you're looking at the average cost in order to make your decisions. So that's why the book continues to reinstate that do not always look at costs first. Consider other factors before you decide on which decision to make. Because if you look at average costs in making your decision, you're also factoring in your fixed costs. Whereas you really need to factor these out first and just look at the variable costs and then make your decision based off of that. So, if, however, you want to still use average costs in your decision making, you have to then incorporate what we call marginal costs. So if you actually want to consider average costs in your decision making, you have to add in what we coin as marginal costs. Every time you see the word marginal in economics, it always means plus one. Okay, marginal just basically means if you add one more unit, if you produce one more unit, what are the changes that will actually happen because of that increase in just one more. So marginal costs are the increases in total costs that arise from an extra unit of output or production, or in other words, the extra cost that it takes to make one more unit. So for example, for a marginal cost example, we have a mitten factory, so we are producing mittens. We produce 100 mittens, and it costs us $1,000 in order to make 100 mittens, okay? So that means on average it's costing us around $10 to make one mitten each, okay? Now let's say we want to make one more mitten. So we want to go from 100 mittens to 101 mittens. And our total cost is now $1,020 to make that one more extra mitten. In this case, making that 101 unit, that one more mitten, is costing us an additional $20. Okay? Not the total cost. Now, we don't have to factor in the total cost when we're looking at marginal costs. So the total cost is $1,020. But the marginal cost in order to make that one more mitten was just $20. Okay? So the formula for marginal cost, therefore, is the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. What I mean by this triangle, this is a delta symbol. And it basically means change. So the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So the change in total cost in this example, we went from 1,000 to 1,020. Divided by the change in quantity, we went from 100 to 101. So the change in this one was negative 20. The change in this one was negative 1. So our answer is 20. So this equals marginal cost. Okay? If the marginal costs are above average costs, then your business is losing money. So if the marginal costs are below the average cost, then your business is doing fine and should possibly increase production and also remain in business. This can be depicted by this graph right here. Once again, costs are going on my y-axis, whereas quantity or output level is going to go on my x-axis. So here we have our MC curve, which is marginal cost, and right here we have our average cost curve, which is also a combination of fixed costs and variable costs. Right here is where you're going to maximize production, okay? Whatever cost this is, some price amount, let's say at 10 units. So at 10 units, you're doing a great job because MC is actually lining up with your AC. Now, if you go this way and begin to produce 12 units, your marginal costs are above this average cost curve. So if I was to depict this in color, which is probably what I should have done originally, we have costs, my Q, we have my MC curve. Now we have my AC curve. Right here is where they meet at some said price and some quantity. Okay? Now, if we go on over here to produce 12 units, right here we can see that our marginal cost at 12 units is above, this line is kind of crooked, but you guys get the gist of it.